One of the best ways to learn is via story. If we think about books and movies and TV shows, they're all crafting some nice little arc and they're teaching a lesson, right? We hope it's a good lesson, but they're teaching a lesson and then it imprints upon us. It's easy to remember because you make relationships, you think of images, you think of feelings, and then boom, it sticks to your soul and you never forget it. Now, the question I'd ask is, why are we not doing this all the time? Why are we not doing it in school, and why are we not doing it in PMP? Now, we're going to handle the PMP side right here. Now, this weekend, I had a little inspiration station. I was sitting at the table, helping my kids with something, and you'll learn all about that. And then, bam, something hit me. And I was like, we should do stories. And what I'm doing is I'm going to give you the one story that kind of was inspired there. And then we're going to have a bunch more that we're going to kind of pace out on the podcast. And all of them, the whole arc that I created this weekend, because I went kind of crazy, and we're putting into the course, in our course, so we can teach our students. We think it's going to be a really great way. So enough talking. Let's jump into this story. So what happened this weekend? It was Saturday. My kids, my nephews and nieces were over too, and they're working through some stuff. So it's Saturday, kind of midday, dining room table. We cleaned it all off, right? And my sons and the others were sitting there, and they're staring at some massive LEGO not Star Wars, but Hogwarts set, like the Harry Potter thing, right? Not the big one, but the kind of big one, right? And the box, I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but it is gorgeous. Like there's spires, there's towers, there's bridges, there's a vision of like magic little bricksy things, and it's kind of fun. And the kids are pumped to do it. Now, you've probably been in this spot. As a parent, my first thought was like, yeah, it's a pretty box, and goodness me, I can't believe I spent that on there. It ran through my head was, how in the world are we going to do this? And did we start too late in the day? There's so many pieces, and heck, where do we even start? And like, as I'm kind of looking at it and saying, oh man, is it too late to start this? One of my sons kind of laughs out loud and says, hey, Dad, what if Lego just gave us a giant pile of bricks with a picture of a castle and said, have fun, good luck, I know you like Harry Potter. And he and the others laughed. They cracked themselves up, right? And then what did they do? They immediately ripped open the box. They dove into the instruction manual. And they were off and running, right? I was just there to kind of organize pieces and help them out. And that's when this story clicked for me. People don't love Legos just because they're Lego. They love them because it's easy, right? They love it because it gives you a structure, a clear bag of parts, a step-by-step manual, and a path that makes even the huge task of building some Hogwarts castle feel possible. Heck, like easy, if you will, right? And that's exactly what we do in project management when it comes to scope, the WBS, the schedule, and the cost. We make it easy. We take the crazy blocks and we organize them. All right? So let's relate this down even deeper. So when a Lego designer, now put yourself, I think it's in Sweden or something like that. When a Lego designer creates the Hogwarts castle, they don't start by just having 1,000 billion jillion bricks on the thing and kind of fiddling around and then, wow, magically we end up with a castle and some like wizardry or whatever. They start with a vision, just like your projects start with a vision. The finished castle, the finished bridge, the finished, app, the finished whatever, marketing campaign, whatever you got. Now that, my friends, is the high level scope. It's the picture on the box. It's the thing that gets explained in the charter. That's the big scope vision. Now, as project managers, we know that that's super duper important. And before anything else, before we run, before we define an end date, before we define a goal, all that jazz, we have to define what it's going to look like. So without the big vision, without the North Star, everything else is just guessing. So it doesn't matter if we're working for Hogwarts or Legos or we're working for, XYZ Corporation. Start with that big vision, that high level scope. Then as we start to break it down in planning, we get the charter signed off. What do we usually do? Now, you can't build Hogwarts or anything else in one step. You got to break it down. And so we take that scope, that big, beautiful vision that we've drawn, and then we kind of flushed out a little bit. And now we be very clear about it. We break down that scope, right? The work breakdown structure. Level 1, top of the, hierarchy, the WBS, it'd be the full castle. And then as they break it down, and you think as a Lego designer now, all right? Think as the Lego person. What is one tower? Or the tower might be one little portion of the WBS, then the walls, then some great hall thing, then some drawbridge, then whatever. You're breaking it down into sub-assemblies, if you will. And then as you go down, you go even deeper. Within the tower, is there subsections to the tower that we need to think about and break down? And at some point, it kind of feels like you're done, or the walls, or whatever it is. So that's the critical point. At the bottom level of the WBS, that's where you get the work package. Hey, this contributes to that, and it rolls up all the way up there to the whole castle. All right? So work packages are like those Lego bags in the box. You know those things. You open it up and throw it out there. All the pieces don't, go over the table. It's these little plastic bags, and they got numbers on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know how numbers work, right? And so think about the work package level. That's work package 1 all the way to 5, right? And so as we go through there, what we need to do is break the scope down to that level to get that bag, right? This bag builds that tower section. But how do we get those pieces in there is the next question. So Lego, those geniuses over in Sweden, had to make hard decisions. What materials do we need? How many bricks? What shapes already exist, right? Because they can't create new fancy pants shapes every time they build something, right? Because that would send the cost through the roof. And then are there specific pieces that need to be made? And so that's exactly what happens after you break down, hey, this is the work package level. Then we have to figure out what are the resources, what's the effort, what's the cost that's going to deliver what we want to in that work package. And this is where the planning turns real. So as we're bouncing back and forth between Legos and life, which some may say Legos are life, who knows? And so we go in there and say, hey, we're at the bottom of the work package level, and you can finally talk about the order of work. Like the Lego instruction manuals, as we think through these things, they break down exactly what you need to do. Now, by figuring out what bricks go in there, we're gonna have to make like certain, back and forth decisions. We can start thinking about the schedule step by step, and it tells you how to assemble it. Because the beauty of Lego is they have that little plastic bag, and then they also have that step-by-step book that I don't think has words in it. I don't even know, all right? And so that's how you assemble the stuff. So the WBS defines what we're gonna build, the little section inside the book, because as you open up the book, what does it say? Hey, you're building this little spire or whatever that is, right? Then it tells you exactly the step-by-steps. So by having the big vision, by working it down to the work package level, by decomposing it, and then by making the decisions about what we're gonna put in there, they know the steps. The schedule defines when and how we put it together. That's why any kids can sit down and confidently build a castle. That's why I was able to walk away from the table, have a bunch of kids from, let's think, 6 to 12-year-old, all in there, all doing their little thing, all helping each other and not killing each other, right? It's clear, it's sequenced, it's visible, progress. Have the little endpoints. You are done with this section. They feel good about it. They pull me in and say, hey man, look at this. I love it. So as we do that, remember, like every Lego designer, it's a business, right? It's probably a pretty darn good business. Knows that cost matters. They can't put 50 like uniquely crafted pieces into one set, or it's going to be even more expensive than it is now. It's crazy, right? So they have to count. How many bricks are needed per section as they're figuring this out? What specialty pieces are worth including, that make it a little unique as we go in there, or that we can't find a creative way? And I'm sure they have, programs and stuff that figure out how to do the blocks and all that jazz. So they count how many bricks are needed, what specialty pieces are included, and then that's what keeps them profitable. And that's what the baseline is. That's the cost baseline. So every work package carries a cost estimate. They roll them up and you have a budget. It's no math, it's no, ambiguity, it's just a structure. So they went from a vision of like, hey, let's build a beautiful castle, down to what the work package is. They started to figure out the materials. They started to make sure that the costs were there, and now they're ready to do the schedule, right? And so they integrate them all together. Now you got to realize that these things don't live separately, right? They live all together. The scope, the cost, and the schedule. They constantly influence each other. So maybe a tower design needs some rare little bricky thing. Now that affects cost. Maybe that brick doesn't exist. they have to kind of go, ooh, we need to, however they do it, come up with a new mold, put it out there, and it's an additional cost. It maybe takes a little more time. At the end, who knows? They sequence the different steps to make the castle the best it can, right? They organize everything. They make trade-offs to get the end vision achieved. So the scope, schedule, and cost aren't inseparable. They're integrated in a game, and it all starts with where the WBS kind of decomposes down. Now, once the team, your team, in real world launches a new enterprise or some kind of system, whatever it is, like at first, you start this project, you can feel like a Lego situation. Hey, it's kind of like the Lego things that you probably have in your house. After they build the castle, about 6 months, the castle kind of, they start taking it apart, they reuse the pieces, and then it's in a big Tupperware container or whatever that's full of there. So a lot of times our projects feel like that, but in reality, we got to go back to the organized work packages, the synchronized book that tells us exactly what to do in what order, and a really well-defined cost, because Lego's figured it out. They're doing pretty good, all right? So as we do that, think of your projects the same way. What's the castle vision? What's the WBS? How do we break it down, that WBS, to understand what Legos go in each, and how do we make the compromises this way and that way? How do we schedule it? How do we make that whole kind of organized structure as simple and easy that a kid could do it? Now, I know you're not building castles. You might be, but let's think about it. You might be building castles. Who knows? If you are, reach out. But that's the kind of way we need to think about it. Chaos becomes order, just like Legos. So as we take away here, and this is the first one, and I'm just talking. I have a script, but I don't ever go off a script, all right? So like the key takeaways is that we nail down the scope first, right? Start with the picture on the box, the big vision, something to get people excited and to align ourselves to. Then you know the deal. You got to break it down. The spires, the drawbridge, the great hall, the whatever, the wizardly place, who knows what it is. You decompose it into the deliverables and the work packages. And those work packages drive all the planning, all the integration, all the fighting, if you will, to make the best decision. Because there might be some person on your team that wants all the, if you will, custom blocks. And you're like, man, like I get what you're going for, and help me out understanding how it's going to benefit the customer, but that's going to make the cost go through the roof. That's going to hurt our schedule. And we don't have the capability to do it currently all what you want. So we're going to have to make trade-offs. Not compromise, but make the best decision. So those resource, cost, effort conversations are critical. And as we pull it all together, we nail down the baselines, and that schedule is going to guide us going forward. So it's like we're building up, doing a little bit of fighting, locking it down, and the schedule paves the road. Think of the book that the Lego kids use, right? Step one, it's bag one. This is what you're building. Here's the 2 bricks that you snap together. Yay. Then flip the page, then flip the page, then flip the page. That's awesome. So as we go through here, I want you to visualize the Lego process. If you got kids, you got grandkids, or you just know Lego in general, lots of adults do, then as you go through this, think about Legos. Heck, go get a cheap Lego set, right? Go play with it. Visualize your projects through the Lego process. And really, as you think about the PMP, now you have a structure that you go through. If it's approachable, if it's kid-like, we seem to stick onto stuff. So here we go. All right, so that's the first one. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll clean it up for the video format. These are just more me talking ideas out. But let me know if you like the stories. Send me a message, 757-759-5282. And then let me know if you like it. Text, call, whatever works for you. I'm here to help you. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a great week, and let's get to working.